that we need to confront the errors of Rome is you see the modern Roman Catholic papacy talking about Scripture in a way that indicts God. So you'll know recently Pope Francis began to actually denigrate the idea of capital punishment. And now he's claimed that capital punishment is unjust. Now get this, the vicar of Christ on earth, the one who is the infallible papacy when he speaks on these things, he says that capital punishment is unjust. Now that's a problem because Scripture is clear from beginning to end that God calls His people when somebody rapes, when somebody murders, when somebody kidnaps and enslaves, He calls His people to do justice on behalf of the victim. And He says in those instances, there is no other way of real justice other than eye for eye, tooth for tooth, life for life. And God says in those cases, capital punishments. Now, these are the words of God. God has condescended and said, in this case where somebody murders, you must, in a judicial way, you must take their life. That's what God says. He calls that just. You see that theme running from the Old Testament into the New Testament. Paul says in Acts 25, after the resurrection and ascension of Jesus, while on trial, he says, if I have done anything deserving of death, worthy of death, he says, I don't object to dying. Which is an inspired apostle saying in the New Covenant era that there are things that are worthy of death in a court system. And he says, and if it's true that I've done it, then I don't object to dying because that's the right thing to do. And did you know throughout the entire history of the Christian church, including Roman Catholicism, they used to teach that capital punishment was actually a blessing from God and a gift from God when it comes to justice on the earth. And now, Rome's Pope says that God gave us a system that is unjust. So who do I believe? Scripture or Francis? I'll take Scripture every day, baby. Every day.